John, we have 8 attendees viewing right now.
Okay.
And 5 in the waiting room of council. And we got Ryan there and Kara from the county as well. Okay.
Okay.
So we're live now. Ryan, over to you.
Okay, welcome everyone to our virtual, unfortunately, open house of the Queen Street Ailsa Craig Rehabilitation Project. This is a project we've talked about for quite a while, and it is needed in the village of Ailsa Craig. Just want to welcome everybody for joining us, and at this time I would turn it over to John Lampman.
Thanks, Brian. So the intent of tonight is to do a public information center, obviously for the Queen Street Ailsa Craig rehabilitation. We're basically at a point where about 60% done design. And what we're doing now is we're going for public information, public consideration. So if you notice, we put out a questionnaire to everybody in early to mid-December, which closes at the end of next week, I believe, the end of the first week of February. And basically what we're here for is to answer those questions and answer questions that the public has as it relates to the replacement of the water main from what will be the newly installed water tower through to basically Mary Street in Ailsa Craig. From here, we have SEMA, we have Chris from the county engineer, as well as myself and a couple other North Middlesex staff. Stuart from SEMA is going to do the presentation, so I'll hand it over to Stuart, make his introduction, and then start walking us through the slides.
Before we do that, just go over the protocol for question and answer.
Yeah, so we just asked that questions be asked at the end of the presentation. The presentation won't take too long. And in order to ask a question, if you go to the bottom of your screen in the right corner, I believe, you'll see raise hand. Just click that raised hand and then we'll go through sequence and get you to speak and ask your questions. Okay, I'll hand it off to Stuart.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome everybody to our Public Information Center tonight. If you can go to the next slide. We've got a brief agenda, just what we're looking to speak about tonight. One is to outline the scope and the purpose of of this project. Give you a brief outline as to the preliminary schedule for advancing this project. Some preliminary discussions about how we intend to stage the construction of this project, and some consideration towards traffic control and access during construction. We know that'll be a concern for a number of the residents out there. And as Jonathan alluded to, we've circulated a questionnaire to everybody just to get some feedback related to any potential streetscape elements that may be added to this project. Okay. So in terms of the scope of the project's currently looking at replacement and upgrading of the water main from approximately West Corner Drive down to Mary Street in the community of Ailsa Craig. And it will include replacement of the service laterals from the main to the property line. The project will also include a replacement and upgrading of the sanitary sewer on Queen Street between Mary Street and Annie Ada Shipley Street, as well as the first run of sewer on Annie Ada Shipley Street. The project overall is required just to address limitations in the existing system for delivering adequate fire flows. So the project is being planned to improve the capacity or upgrade the capacity of the primary feed into the community so that we can have fire flows in accordance with current standards. The sanitary sewer upgrade is also being considered to accommodate planned growth both within Ailsa Craig and future growth being planned in the community of Nairn. So the purpose of today's meeting is just to provide some information to the public and to see if we can get some feedback from everybody. Next. So in terms of project status, the project itself is being planned under the municipal class environmental assessment planning process. And under that process, this project would be considered a Schedule A+ project. What that means is that the project itself is pre-approved under the Environmental Assessment Act but that doesn't mean that there are no other approvals required. For this project, in addition to council approval to proceed, we also will need approval from the Conservation Authority and from the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks. The works on this project are being coordinated with the County of Middlesex, and thank you for joining us, Chris, so that we can coordinate and make sure that everything is being done to minimize the disruption to the residents in the community. An important part or consideration for the public is the project is being funded primarily by user rates. So there's not going to be any direct charges to any residents within the community. Some growth-related costs will be funded by the municipal development charges. So what we've done now is we've provided copies of the current design drawings, and on this drawing you'll see the proposed water main replacement from Mary Street heading north, as well as the sanitary sewer replacement from Mary Street heading north. What we're proposing to do is construct the new water main independent of the existing water main so that we can pressure test and disinfect the water main before we make final connections to everybody's services. That way, we don't need to, or we can maintain service to everybody throughout the construction period without the need for a temporary water system. So through the portion of Ailsa Craig south of Ailsa Craig Main Street, we're generally going to be installing the new water main on the east side of the roadway. We will cross over to the west side of the roadway as we cross Ailsa Craig Main and continue on that side of the road all the way out to West Corner Drive. Currently in about this vicinity, we have a conflict with the Enbridge gas main, and we are working right now with Enbridge to see if we can get that gas main relocated. And if we are successful with that utility relocation, we would look at installing the water main within the shoulder of the roadway to minimize impacts to the traveling public through this area. So the water main is then extended up to where the elevated tank contract will be extending the water main out to West Corner Drive in the vicinity where we're showing the connection. This picture is just to show you the extent of the sanitary sewer replacement on Annie 8 at Shipley. So in terms of the schedule, we are currently in design, as Mr. Lampman indicated. We intend to be complete with the design sometime during the summer of 2022. That exact schedule will be subject to any additional works that may get incorporated this as a result of the questionnaire that has been circulated. Based on a summer of 2022 design completion, we'd be looking at tendering the works in the fall of the winter with a anticipated construction start in the spring of 2023. With the scope of this work, we would anticipate that the works would be complete by the fall of 2023, but there may be, depending on the exact completion date, there may be some works that are pushed off until the spring of 2024, typically some landscape restoration, some touch-ups. And the entire project itself will be subject to a 2-year warranty. On a preliminary basis, again, we are looking at constructing the works under a single contract, but the construction would be phased into 2 stages. The first stage would generally be all the works north of Ailsa Craig Main Street. So construction of the water main, construction of new services, all the testing and disinfection of the water main, and transferring to your private water services, and ultimately restoration of the road. We want to get the road open again to the traffic so that there's a minimum disruption. We don't have the entire stretch of road open to construction for the entire duration. Once the portion north of Main Street is being restored, we would commence with work in stage 2, which would involve construction of the water main and the sewer south of Ailsa Craig Main Street, and then testing and commissioning, and then final restoration. So in terms of traffic control, we're anticipating that for stage 1, we would anticipate that construction would proceed with traffic controlled by flag persons. One lane would remain open throughout construction. There would be very short-term access restrictions to private driveways as the works are being constructed across the frontage of the property, but access to your driveways would be provided daily. For stage 2, we're anticipating that there may be need for full closure of Queen Street when we're installing the sanitary sewer from Mary Street up to Annie 80 Shipley, as well as the first portion of the water main from Main Street down to, is that Hamilton Street, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Okay. In general, traffic will be controlled by flag persons again. However, if there's full closure with local access only, we will be looking to develop a detour plan for, especially for heavy truck traffic. So as we've indicated, there is a questionnaire that has been circulated to everybody that allows or is giving everybody the opportunity to provide input to staff and to council as to potential streetscape enhancements. Currently, the project would anticipate restoring the roadway back to the current condition, but we have the opportunity, now that we're going to be out on the road, to potentially enhance your illumination, improve your sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, add street furniture, add plantings, whatever the public may want and ultimately council agrees to. So if you haven't already, we encourage you to complete your questionnaire and get it submitted to the municipality as before, what was the cutoff date? February?
Yeah, it says January 11th, but I believe it's the end of the first week of February, sorry.
No, the January 11th is the next slides where we're outlining the results to date.
Oh, sorry.
So the submissions are available until February when? 4th?
4th.
Okay. So we've now just summarized the results of the questionnaires that have been responded to and received by the municipality as of January 11th. So gone through that quickly. So amenities, okay, jumping too fast on me, Jonathan. So the concerns related to Queen Street, the speed of vehicles has been identified, and a lack of safe pedestrian crossings. Those are the two primary issues that have been flagged. Concern, improved sidewalks and crossings, and some request for some additional vegetation trees along the boulevards. The question related to future sidewalks, it's looking very strong preference for all concrete sidewalks. You know, this is just a typical access requirements with most respondents either driving or walking. Question related to flooding along Queen Street. The majority of the responses have indicated that there's no significant concern about flooding, but there is a reasonable response rate saying that there is some infrequent flooding out there. No real expressed concerns about accessibility. A request about specific needs that should be taken into consideration. We have reviewed some of the responses, and I don't believe that the interpretation of the question has been always correctly interpreted. What we're concerned about here are individuals that have special delivery requirements, such as daily oxygen delivery if they have breathing issues, or if they're running a business and have multiple deliveries on a daily basis. So those that have expressed a concern, we will certainly incorporate some consideration into those concerns. Again, just a condition of trees along the boulevard or along the right of way. Vast majority of indicating no. Question related to the unsatisfactory condition of your driveway, and again the majority indicating no. A question related to vehicle access for business delivery or other proposed on a daily basis, and again the majority is indicating no. Those that have indicated yes, if we can accommodate special provisions within the contract, we will certainly do so. So just in closing, we're looking to complete the design of this project over the next few months and get it done sometime the summer of 22 and proceed to construction in spring, summer of 2023. So we're all here available to respond to any questions you may have, and hopefully we can answer them satisfactorily. So again, thank you for attending the meeting tonight, and you get your questionnaires in as soon as you can. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, Stuart. We'll open the floor to any questions that the public has at this time. Questions, concern, comments, so on and so forth. Again, just raise your hand and then we'll, oh, I can see Don Parker's raised his hand.
So we're going to go to Don Parker first. I'm going to ask you to just bear with us here, Don. John, if you wouldn't mind turning off the shared screen as well, too. Don, you're going to have to unmute. There you go. Don will be coming in a second here. Don, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine. I don't see a picture of me though.
Okay, go ahead, Don.
Okay, I have just a few questions. Number one is the new water line. Which side of Queen Street is it going to be placed on?
It's currently, Don, proposed for the west side, so the opposite side of the homes along Queen Street. But as Stuart did mention, there is a conflict with Enbridge Gas, but west side of the road.
Okay.
Yeah, for the portion north of Main Street, it is on the west side. South, we're going to be on the east side.
Okay. Where the sidewalk that you were referring to in the presentation, how far out were you going to bring that sidewalk? Is that coming? That's not going to leave Ailsa Craig's town limits, is it?
So to that point, or to that question, Don, basically all the sidewalk that's there currently is just intended to remain. So this is the time where you can voice opinion to move it further to the north or move it further to the south. But as it currently sits, it would be just rehabilitate exactly what's there, like for like. Okay,
that's good. No, I didn't really want the sidewalk to come any farther out than it is now. I didn't see any need to it. And somebody, when they were talking about this, alluded to that the fact that it might come out as far as Northwest Corner Drive, and I didn't see any reason why that was. So yeah, I think that's all I got to ask at this point. I also wanted to know about the quality of work. I was watching, I have a background in road construction, and I was watching the quality of work that was happening in the north end of Ailsa Craig, and in my opinion, it was substandard. But I was just wondering about the quality of work that was going to be happening.
So To that question, Don, the only thing we can really do is put checks and balances in place. And the checks and balances that we have are an open and fair tendering process, but qualifications and requests for qualifications from contractors. So we can vet contractors prior to closing a tender. So we would want to see that they've done this magnitude of work. They've done these types of things. We check references and so on and so forth. So it's not just a free for all in that any contractor can come to the table and do this work. We do vet it in the back end prior to tendering. And then ultimately the dollars and cents, speak magnitude once you've tendered. But there is a vetting process.
Okay, so there, so you take a number of different requests or whatever proposals, and then decide on, is it a dollar value you decide on, or is it quality of work you decide on, or how do you make the decision as to who gets the contract?
Twofold. So if we do a request for qualification or we try to qualify contractors for it, that's purely technical and purely skill based. No dollars and cents at that point. Say you get 12 contractors that show up to that. We would shortlist 6, 8, 10, could be all 12 depending on their qualifications. At that point, we go to tender. Once you're in tender, it will be purely money driven at that point. It'll be the lowest cost at that time.
All right,
If I can add one point to that as well, SEMA will have a full-time inspector on the site to make sure that the contractor is complying with the contract specs and meeting the level of quality that would be anticipated for a project of this type.
all right, thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Don.
Thanks.
I'm going to move on to John Ruddick. It's going to take a while for you to queue up here, John, but I'll let you know when you can start speaking. You'll have to unmute though. Okay, John, go ahead.
Hello, John.
Yep, we have you, John.
Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, just curious again. I raised the question. We met last time about opening the street. We're not opening the street again from north of Church on out to a counter. Are we opening that new stretch again?
Yeah, John. And I do remember talking about this. Yeah. So basically, John, right from where that new water tower is going around the bend of West Corner on the north side.
Yeah.
We'll be making a connection there. And then we'll be
Right.
taking it right down to Mary Street. So yes, that
Right.
that road that was just done by the developer and his contractor will be opened up again. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
happenstance with time, John. Yeah, they got there before
Okay.
we could get there.
Oh, yeah, but the line will be installed on the west side.
Out front of your place, John. Yeah, it's on the opposite side of the road.
Okay, so I guess my concern was parking of service vehicles. People working there when they dug up the street, they seem to land their trucks just about any place. That was one of my concerns. And the other one was material laydown. You're going to have some site, some area to lay down material and equipment. Where is that? I mean, like, is that going to land in the middle of the road, and that sort of thing?
So typically on projects like this, obviously they go over the duration, like go over a while, right? So
Right.
typically your excavators, your loaders, your backhoes and all that stay in, like, let's call it the line of construction. So Stuart spoke to keeping one lane down. The equipment will likely stay in that line of construction throughout the duration of the work. As for material laydowns, that's typically dealt with the contractor, with the municipality, with the engineer and local residents once there's a contractor on board. We can specify areas in the drawings right now, but it might be futile. It might be for naught because the contractor might have a better idea, or the contractor might know so much of the community that they can put their stuff there, right? So it's kind of sorted out at that time, John. But
Okay, so
like noted, like you don't want people driving all over front lawns, and you don't want them putting materials.
exactly.
Yeah, no, acknowledge, definitely.
Well, just hoping that they'll have some sort of parking facility or parking area, to land their trucks,
Yeah, understood. Yeah, we'll work that out with the contractor. We're not there yet, but it is going to be very much like the contractor will go around and they'll reach out to people. people that have space in the community. If
Right.
if it works on both sides, they'll use that. If not, we'll have to figure it out as we go through it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, thank you and good luck.
Thanks, John.
For the benefit of the people who are waiting, we have 2 more questions right now, and I'm going to be moving to Megan Lee. If anybody else has a question, I'd ask you to raise your hand. Megan, I'll let you know when you can start speaking. You will have to unmute though, Megan.
Hi, guys. Sorry, it's Ryan Lee, actually on. Just kind of a follow-up to John's question. We're right across the street from John, and we've just lived through this construction where they had the road all dug up. For traffic control, like you guys are trying to keep one lane open with flagman possible, but after hours, and if that's not possible, there was quite an issue with this last bit of construction with traffic, not construction traffic, but regular traffic continuing to use the road. We had motorcycles on the sidewalk. We had cars driving across John and Janet's front lawn. What is going to be put in place to discourage that kind of behavior going forward with this?
So to your point, I remember receiving phone calls about this. So basically the contractor will shut down the site every day at 5 o'clock, hypothetically. And at that point, they will block off the road. To keeping people out of it, they can put Jersey barriers, they can put barricades, they can sit with the excavator with the bucket over the hole. People driving through it are absolutely doing that at 100% their own risk. Their insurance is null and void once they enter that site. We would deter it. We don't want people to do it, but we're not ultimately going to be able to stop people while flag persons, traffic control, contractors not there, we're not there, you're not there. But I mean, we'll take every precaution necessary, every precaution we can to keep out of the site, but it's not guaranteed that they're going to stay out of it.
Okay, that's fair enough. It's just part of the issue I think with this last one was it was kind of last minute that they were going to close the whole road. Up to that point, I think the intention was again to leave a lane open, but then as soon as the contractor showed up, like the week before construction, they decided it was going to be a full road closure. So
that's correct, because of the depth of the sanitary sewer, and they had to realign it closer to the center line, which made them lose the other lane. That's correct. It was supposed to be one lane open.
now on continuing kind of with the traffic, the timeline that you've presented also kind of lines up with we ourselves are going to be having some major construction projects going on at our property. There's the construction of the new homes across the street that they just did the sanitary for, as we're going to be able to work that out, that we don't have contractors on top of contractors fighting just for space, or it's not going to increase, say, the cost of my project because my contractor can't access the site because your contractor has the road dug up, or are we going to be able to work something out that way?
Every intention to work it out. And typically this is dealt with best at the 4-person level, the guys that are on site or the girls that are on site, and them working it out amongst each other. Stuart spoke to it, but we have every intention to keep access, deliveries, so on and so forth, coming in and out of people's properties, businesses as normal. There is going to be hiccups. There's going to be implications of tearing up a road. It's not going to be perfect. But we have every intention to, if you're building a house or you're building a shop or whatever it is, that your contractors will be able to get to where they need to go. Yeah.
Just on that, if we are under construction at the same time that you are proceeding with your home construction in the area, we will be giving everybody the notice of the name and phone number of our inspector. So if you have any major deliveries, any large deliveries that access is going to be a challenge, perhaps you're getting a delivery of your roof trusses, contact our inspector, a couple of days ahead of time, so we're aware that it's coming, and we'll do everything we can to work around your schedule as well.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our last question, Marilyn, Barb, I'm going to bring you in now. Again, you will have to unmute. There we go, Marilyn, go ahead.
It's actually Jerry, Barb, but my question, you sort of glossed over about shutting down Queen Street, and then you said that you may be redirecting, especially for truck traffic. Can you expand on that a bit? I think our major concern is that we've gone through 2 years without any Americans going to, for our business, for Americans going to Stratford. If you shut it down for another year, can you just tell us now?
Okay, so I'll take it. So as Stuart spoke to, right, the intention is to take our Main Street north, basically complete that project, and then go after the south end. The south end is where we're going to have more issues with truck traffic and so on. The intention is obviously to leave one lane of traffic open as long as possible. As Stuart mentioned, when we do the sanitary sewer from, I think it was Mary up to Annie Ada and around the corner, due to the depth, due to the running line, it will be shut down. What we do for that is we work with Chris at the county and we develop a traffic management plan. So basically reroute them around. Now, there is no nice, easy way to reroute around this, but it will have to be done for the duration it takes basically to get that up and running. Not ideal, but work with it through traffic management plans and rerouting.
So in other words, traffic will not be coming through Ailsa Craig.
No, not necessarily. One lane open. There's going to be a short duration. So there's a few hundred meters of sanitary sewer that has to go in. So would it be a week, 2 weeks, depending on weather, depending on what's going on? I mean, we can assess that closer to. The contractor will be the one to tell us, but it's not going to be absolutely shut down for a long duration of time. Tore up, less accessible than its current state, absolutely, but still open that vehicles can move through.
What about the trucks?
Yeah, maybe Jonathan, I'll just jump in from a county perspective, and thanks for the question. Typically we try to discourage the 18-wheelers or the large trucks when we're in the middle of a construction zone. We'll post a detour route on county roads, even if there's one lane open, just to let trucks know that there's a way around the construction zone, just from a county perspective, just to keep the trucks off the local streets. So we don't want to see large trucks getting into the construction zone, deciding they're going to try and cheat around on one of the local streets. We've seen that happen, and we want to give them an option to choose to go around the other way. During the full closure, again, we'll have that detour route available. But local traffic, passenger vehicles is sort of less of an issue for the impact on the local roads versus on the county roads. So we'll likely have those detour routes established early in the project in case they're needed. And then, as Jonathan says, we're trying to limit the total amount of time that the road is completely closed for the section in which where we have to actually close it because of the depth of the sewer. So we're hoping for the majority of this project. Again, we're more than a year away from the start of this project. And through detailed design, we'll get a better feel for the actual length of time that will be allowed to be closed. And again, this will be somewhat of a negotiation, but there'll be a conversation between the consultant and the contractor to determine what's a reasonable length of time for a full closure. So nothing right now is written in stone. And certainly there's lots of work to do between now and our tender period, which is almost a year away at this point in time. But just for safety, for safety of the traveling public, to preserve the condition of the road network, we'll definitely provide alternate routes especially for large commercial vehicles.
So is Marilyn here? Is Main Street ever going to be closed? I don't know how you're going to hop over Main Street.
So we will be going right through Main Street, basically right at the four corners, north and south. absolutely. In regards to it being closed, yeah, it will be closed for a short period of time while we bring the water main through.
Jonathan, I would anticipate that we would probably do the crossing of Main Street at like half and half. So we'd
Fair.
still be able to
Keep it
maintain one lane open. Do the north side, backfill that, do a temporary restoration, jump over to the south side, do the south side. So there wouldn't be a full closure of Main Street. That would be the intention.
That's good. And so is this going to have any effect with the nursing home? If they ever start building the extension?
So the intention of the water tower and what will be a larger water main coming from the water tower is to support fire flow and development like the nursing home and its expansion. During construction, the reason why you will see, if you go through those, the drawings, why we're picking the opposite side of the road of the current running line of our water main is so that we can keep everybody in water while we construct on the opposite side of the road. So the intention is to have very little downtime where you wouldn't have water. We construct, we test, we chlorinate, we flush, tie the service, and then basically, in a matter of an hour or so, everything is switched over.
You can't hear me nodding. Battles. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So with that, that is our last question. I am going to pause for about 3 or 4 minutes here, and we're just going to see if there's any more other questions that come through. Okay, I would remind everybody that this is being recorded and that if you want to view it again, it's on our YouTube channel, and you can more than certainly follow up with the people that you see here today with more questions. So that being said, we're going to just pause here for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll circle back.
Don, did you have another question, it looks like?
Yes, hello?
Yeah, we have you, Don.
Okay, yes, I was just curious. Last summer, when we had that construction going on north of Queen Street, there was a lot of unknowns, if you will. We didn't know what was going on. At one point in time, there's 3 different constructions happening in the area, and it was just a cluster in the whole area. And I would have appreciated, and I know a lot of people along here would have appreciated, a written letter telling us what was going on, because we had no idea what was going on. And to all of a sudden cut off our access, we've been cut off the access on the bridge. How long? We don't know how long Black's Bridge is going to be down for now. And we were cut off access into town. And I was told that it was just a small route. Well, it was 10 kilometers out of the way. It was 10 kilometers around to get into town to buy things. It was an inconvenience. And I would like to have had some kind of written letter telling us that, what was happening. We don't all have access to the website, or maybe we do, but we don't all know how to access your website. And I think it would have been a courtesy that we would have all appreciated.
Noted, Don. Yeah, we'll take it into consideration. I mean, like those that are directly impacted. Yeah, we'll find a way to let everybody know. And it's basically going to be, okay, construction starting on such and such a date, basically is what you need. Now, through, as you've heard, that was a little different in that once the contractor got there, obviously then the decision was made to shut it down. The full intention is to keep a lane open and not restrict that access. However, until we get to that point, we will not know for certain all aspects of that, but it is noted that you would like something in the mail, basically all those that are fronting and directly affected.
Yes, thank you. Another thing is, I was just curious about the fact that the water main is going on the west side. So that means you're going to have to connect every single service along there individually from
Correct.
the west side to the east side.
That's correct, Don. Yep.
Okay. All right. Just clarify that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna start about a 3-minute timer here. Anybody's can put their hand up, is encouraged to speak or have a question, please raise your hand. We have one more coming in from Stephanie McDonald. I'm gonna unmute you again. You're gonna have to unmute yourself there, Stephanie.
Sorry, it's Stephen McDonald, not Stephanie.
We've got a few of those tonight, so go ahead.
The question I have is, are you going to do something about the drains along Queen Street? The older homes are below the level of those drains. Now, I have a neighbor that lives right on Queen Street. My house is behind hers, and my next door neighbor with me, all three of us get flooding because there are no drains and the water can't reach the drains at Queen Street. This problem did not start until the previous rebuilding of Queen Street, where they raised it 18 to 24 inches. It acts like a big dam, and the waters that are on our properties cannot reach the drains because the drains are higher than the property line or the property level.
So Stephen, you're talking about, I forget the name of the drain now, but there's two municipal drains. There's a branch and then there's a main drain there, basically, correct? Is that what you're talking
about? Is the storm drain rates that are along Queen Street are higher than the properties of the older homes. I'm in a century home. Okay, my property does not, the level of my land does not rise when they raise the roads up. Okay, so like right now, it's not bad in my property because it's not flooding into my home. My neighbor that lives on Queen Street, her basement is habitually being flooded because the water cannot reach the drains before it starts going into her basement through her windows. If I raise my property to get it so that the water will stop draining through here, I would have it halfway up my basement windows.
So are you on the north end of Queen Street, Stephen?
Yep. No, not the north end of Queen Street. I'm on Queen Street and William Street is what I'm on.
Okay, in and around there. Okay. So currently, yeah, fine, yeah.
Okay, there's other homes that are at the corner of Queen and George that also flood because the water can't reach the drains because the level of the property is below that of the drains. And I'm still trying to figure out why they raised that road up so much because there was no need to do it.
Okay, so first, holistically, we have not considered dropping the elevation of the road as it currently sits. And I don't mean not dropping it the 18 inches that it was prior to the repaving, prior to the rebuild. That's not been considered to date. The reality of entering into works like that for long stretches as to what we're doing will A, be extremely costly, B, will change the depth and elevation of all the existing infrastructure that we're not touching, basically the cover on it, and C, it'll just push the contract out. So to date, we have not we've not dropped that elevation of that road. There'll be minor changes here and there, but it's not contemplated at this point. But we can make note of your concerns with basically a higher elevated road compared to the abutting landowners.
Because when I first came to this village back in the early 80s, basically Queen Street was flat coming in right up to Main Street. Now, if you take a look there now, the street, once you get to George Street, then they've taken it bows down to meet the level of Main Street. Okay, so that used to be flat.
Okay.
And what the problem is, when we get a lot of rain, I get a foot of water in my yard. Okay, that's going to start getting into my basement sometime or another because it'll only hold that back for so long. My
Okay.
one neighbor who actually lives on Queen Street, her basement is being habitually flooded because the water before the water can reach the drains, it gets higher. It gets up higher than the dams she has around her basement windows.
Okay,
And that
so,
water is going in her basement.
so there is storm sewer on that section of Queen Street, south of
Yeah.
Main Street. And we'll look at elevations. We've done a topographic survey out there, and we know what the elevations are, and we know for a good distance beyond our road allowance either way what the elevations are. And we'll take a look at improved drainage via catch basins and elevation, top of grade of catch basins in that area. Absolutely. We'll take a look at it. And basically, if I'm hearing correctly, Queen Street from Ailsa Craig, Main to George Street is the area.
More than George,
He suggested
Craig,
all the way down to William.
it's from
All the
Main
way,
Street
William, sorry.
down past William Street, okay, to Robin, okay, and then there's there's an older home down further down Queen Street that is there, and they get flooding also because they're older homes like Century Homes. You can't move the house up.
Yep, noted. We'll take a look. We have a full topographic survey. We can look at the drainage areas. We can look at the installation of additional or more efficient catch basins. And in particular with the right top of grade, the right elevation to take water.
Yeah. Then you're going to be surprised how far down you got to put those drains to be able to reach it. Even the sidewalk for the one neighbor here and for the people that are at the corner of George and Queen, is the sidewalks are part of the problem too, because the drains are between the sidewalk and the road. Oh, the water is held back by the sidewalk. And then it still has to go up, and if it gets over the sidewalk, it still has to go uphill to get to the drain.
Okay, it's definitely noted. We will take a look at the drainage in that area.
Okay, because I know that it's not going to be that long, because we keep getting this flooding from a large rainstorm, and I get a foot of water in my backyard, and to the point where it reaches right up to the house.
Yeah, the drainage area in Ailsa Craig is massive. Basically starts at the turkey barns on Highway 7 to the east, and it runs directly down through the town right to the Asaba River, obviously, right?
That's right. And that's the thing is, that should have been taken into consideration when that road was redone. It should have been taken into consideration when they put the new subdivision in on Robin Street, because what they did there is the properties that are behind me, their backyards are 12 to 14 inches higher than what my property is. So I'm dammed in both ways. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, understood. We'll take a look at the drainage in that area. Absolutely.
Okay, I'd appreciate if you did, please.
Yep, no, appreciate it. Thanks for the comments, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you.
Don, I may have missed you, or you may put your hand back up, so I'm gonna ask you if you have any more comments here. And then we're going back to Marilyn. Oh, Marilyn just put her hand down. Don, go ahead. Did you have additional comments?
No, sorry, I forgot to lower my hand. I'm new to this stuff.
That's okay. Marilyn,
you.
do you
Bye.
have a question?
I just had a comment. I was surprised by the survey that it said flooding wasn't an issue. I just want to reinforce what Steve is saying. When we had that storm here and we got 120 centimeters of rain, people stayed up all night on Queen Street to stop flooding, even though they have sump pumps and everything. Like, flooding on Queen Street is a serious issue. It's not one it's one that you should really take into consideration when you're doing this. You've got senior citizens who are worried that they're going to lose their basements because of this. And Steve is right. It's because when they raised that road bed, everybody started getting water in their basement.
Noted, Marilyn. So the surveys of people not saying, that was 74 respondents, right? So basically, whoever it was responded. We just provided that information because that's what people had said. But if there's an astounding number of people that come after this meeting and say drainage, obviously that graph will change, right? It's intuitive and interactive with how the public responds. But your drainage concerns, especially in that section, have been noted, and we will take a look at it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. So we've been back and forth on this a couple of times. I'm going to go down to 2 minutes. And then if there are no more questions, we're going to conclude the Public Information Center. So we're just going to pause here for 2 more minutes and see where we are. Okay, so that's 2 minutes there. John, any closing statements?
Just appreciate everybody coming out, staff, consultants, the public, great questions, great concerns. Yeah, appreciate everybody coming out and participating. The best thing that you can do is do those questionnaires that we've sent out. You can find them on our website. I think we have it all through all of our social media. Fill those out and it'll help to shape the decisions and the engineering and design that we will put in at this point for council consideration at a later point, and ultimately implementing into the project when the contractor gets here in 2023. But again,
again, this is being recorded and it's on our YouTube channel. We'd encourage you to review this or reach out to staff directly if you have any follow-up questions. I'd like to personally thank our council that came out tonight, the County of Middlesex staff that joined us tonight, and SEMA staff for putting this on. We will be doing another public information center for the Park Hill Main Street rehabilitation project, the same format on Thursday, the 27th at the same time, if you're interested in talking to, or seeing that one as well. Again, all this information will be available online. So with that being said, we're going to conclude tonight's session. Thank you very much, everybody, again, and we look forward to the project and we look forward from hearing from you. Please reach out if you would like to discuss further. Thank you again.
Thanks, everybody.